election, I'll be voting Labour. I joined the Royal Air Force when I was 18 and I retired in May last year, and I served just over 23 years. Throughout my entire military career, I voted Conservative, both in my time served in the ranks and as a commissioned officer. But doing so just became harder and harder. After I saw, I felt and I experienced the damage done by Tory cuts, including and especially to veterans. The final straw to me, and what's brought me back to what feels like home, was Partygate. It was so clear they don't support people like me, like us, and we're still suffering, so it's time for change. Keir Starmer has brought the Labour Party back on track. As a veteran and a parent that wants my children to grow into adulthood able to make their own democratic choices of where and how they choose to serve their community, I know that we'll be looked after if Labour win. I feel safe and secure to put my faith in Keir, Vaughan Gethin and Labour ahead of the next general election. And it gives me great pleasure to introduce our next speaker, leader of the Labour Party, Keir Starmer.
Thank you. Thank you, Michael. That was a really powerful address from you, and it's a big thing to come up here and say what you just said. Big thing. For me, it vindicates all the hard work of the last 4.5 years. I was determined to change this Labour Party and put it back in the service of working people. And your words are so important to me, to all of our candidates, to all of our staff, to the whole Labour movement when we hear you saying, lifelong Tory voter, I've had enough, I'm voting Labour. Thank you, Michael. Vaughan, thank you for your words. Thank you for your leadership here in Wales. It's been really good to work with you so far in my position as Leader of the Opposition. I'm really looking forward to a new partnership where we can both deliver together for Wales. Thank you, Vaughan. And thank you all for that incredibly warm reception when we walked in. It was fantastic to see everybody in the room, such a great feeling. And Abergavenny, what an amazingly beautiful place, what a beautiful constituency. We arrived last night, the sun was shining, it was absolutely stunning. Not long ago, Vic and I and the kids were at Crickhowell. We holidayed up there, and you know, it's a really beautiful part of Wales. And many people in this room will have been to the Bear Pub, I'm sure, in Crickhowell. The food there is, if you haven't been, make sure you go before you leave this part of the world. And as Caroline Harris will attest, Vic and I holiday in Wales every year. We go down to Swansea. She looks after us, and last year we're in the Gower. We're in Oxwich, actually. It was really, really beautiful. So I love being here, and it's fantastic to be back here today in Wales. And what an opportunity, what a chance to launch our campaign, because Rishi Sunak has finally called the general election. He's given us our chance to take our case to the country. And I don't know about you, but I think Wales has been waiting for this general election for a very, very long time. And we in the Labour Party have been working for and waiting for this general election for a very, very long time. And if just over a week ago Rishi Sunak thought he was laying a careful trap of an ambush, he didn't catch us. He caught himself in his own ambush. So now we get the chance. And what went through, I think, all of those speeches this morning is this strong sense that now is the time for change. Change and hope for a better future, with that sense of national renewal, taking our communities, our countries forward for the future. And so I say to you, if you're a family that's been struggling with the cost of living for a long time now, and I mean struggling across Wales, struggling elsewhere, if you're a business that's been absolutely up against it these past few years, if you've been serving your country or serving your communities, then this election is for you. Because this is the chance to end the chaos and the division, to turn the page and to rebuild Wales and rebuild our entire country together, to elect a government, as Vaughan said, would serve working people here in Wales and make that connection. A government in Westminster and a government here in Wales working together and delivering for Wales. Because I don't know about you, but I think we've all had enough of 14 years of chaos and division, feeding chaos and division. And it feels like we're spinning round and round in circles and getting absolutely nowhere. And there's a cost to that. There's a human cost to that. Go to Port Talbot. Talk as I did to those that are facing the prospect of losing their job in the steel industry. And I say to Rishi Sunak, go and look those people in the eyes as I've done. And you'll see their anxiety about the damage that's being done by a government that doesn't have a plan, a government that's too divided to take our country and our industries forward. Go and talk to those workers, those families. Years and years of investment, skills that they've put in, facing now an uncertain future. That is the human cost that they are paying for a government that is divided, chaotic, and for a Prime Minister who won't pick up the phone to the former First Minister here in Wales to do a blind thing about those jobs. I've been there, I've looked them in the eyes, and I've told those workers, I will fight for every single job that they have there and for the future of steel here in Wales. We must fight it. Because this is a change election. There are two futures out there on the 4th of July. Two paths that we can take. It's a very, very clear choice. And we need to spell it out. More chaos and division, because they're not going to change. It'll be more, 14 years already, another 5 years of chaos and division, non-delivery and failure. Or turn the page, hope and unity, and rebuild our communities and our countries with Labour. A government that works for you, that ties up no more conflict between the First Minister here and the Prime Minister in London, but both working together for Wales. Imagine what could be delivered for Wales with that combination of two governments. This is a huge prize. To elect a government that wants devolution to work, that doesn't want the conflict, will get around the table, will work together and every day deliver for the working people of Wales. So the first thing we have to do is end that chaos and that division. And the good news is, you don't have to put up with it anymore. A vote for Labour is a vote to turn the page, to change our country. We changed the Labour Party, put it back in the service of working people. We are humbly asking permission for the opportunity to change our country and put it back in the service of working people. Now, I know that will be difficult. I'm not going to stand here and say it'll be easy. It will be difficult, tireless work. But I've never shied away from the difficult. When I was heading up the Crown Prosecution Service, we had to change it. It was difficult. Many people said, don't do it, slow down. But we changed. When I worked in Northern Ireland, it was difficult work. We were trying to change the police service so that it served all communities. It was difficult, painstaking work. But we did it. And here in the Labour Party, we had to change our party and put it back in the service of working people. That wasn't easy. Lots of people said, don't do it that way, don't go so fast. But we did it. We'll never shy away from that. Because driving through this, for me, has always been country first, party second. And the opportunity is now there to work together to deliver for Wales. And there's no brighter future without Wales, because I believe that the solidarity of working people is not just our identity, it's our argument. It's the most powerful force for uniting all four nations across the United Kingdom. So this is the change that we must bring about. It is difficult. It is ambitious. And like any ambition, you need first steps. You need to set out what the big thing is that you want to change and what the first steps are going to be to realise that change. And that's why I'm proud to set out our first steps here today. As you would expect, ruthlessly well prepared, thought through, ready to deliver, fully costed and fully funded, which is more than can be said from the ideas that the Tories are sort of flinging on the table on a daily basis, or rummaging round in the toy box of bad ideas and putting one on the table every day, unfunded and uncosted. So step one, economic stability. And in 2024, it feels odd to have to say to you that stability is change. But it is, that's what we haven't had, stability. Because stability is the foundation of growth. We won't get economic growth without stability. And we all know that if you lose control of the economy, it's working people who will pay the price. Liz Truss lost control of the economy. And in Wales, working people on a mortgage are now paying an average of £240 more each and every month. Rishi Sunak says, we've turned a page. Liz Truss says, put the people who helped me in the House of Lords. Rishi Sunak says, OK. And in Wales, each and every day, families paying hundreds of pounds more as a reminder of the cost they are paying for the damage that the Tories did. Tata Steel are paying price. We have to invest if we want a future of steel in this country. We have to invest in all of the sectors that need it. That's why we want to set up a national wealth fund. Other countries have it. We can drive our industry forward, give the growth that we need, the businesses, the partnership that will help us deliver. And that's why economic stability is step one and will always be step one. Step two, working with Vaughan, bringing down those waiting lists. Too many people on waiting lists. Now we'll do that. It's fully funded, fully costed. We're going to get rid of the non-dom tax status properly. That's the tax that allows the super rich to be here in this country, making their money, but not pay their tax here. I don't agree with that. I think you should be paying your tax here, and we'll make sure that people do. And we'll also crack down on those that are avoiding their tax. And with that money, we'll bring down the waiting lists. And that means we can invest in England, in the NHS, 40,000 appointments each and every week. What a difference that will make. But that, of course, as you all know, means more money for the NHS here in Wales, so that in Wales we can build on the work that's been done. Now, this matters to me. My mum was a nurse. She was a really proud nurse. There are some fantastic pictures of her in her nursing uniform. Such pride. We saw this yesterday, by the way, as well. We're in Worcester at the college there where they're training up the next generation of nurses. I saw the same pride on the young people there that I saw on the pictures of my mum. It was her livelihood. But of course, it became her lifeline because she was extremely ill for most of her life, and literally her life depended on the care that the NHS gave her time and time and time again in her particular case. And there are other cases in this room as I look around. So it matters to me. It matters to Vaughan because, of course, the NHS saved his life earlier in his life. So it matters to me. And the idea now of us being able to work together to make sure the NHS is at its very best, capable of delivering, not just back on its feet, but fit for the future. Of course we're proud of the NHS. Roots right here. We look back with great pride. Every year in the Labour movement, we celebrate the NHS. It's one of the greatest achievements of any government ever, that Labour achievement. I want not just to look back proudly, although I want to do that. I want to look forward and be able to say that the NHS that we will build will be there for the next 70 years for others to rely on it in the way that Vaughan and I and my mum relied on it. Step 3, Border Security Command. And the government has lost control of our borders. Lost control of our borders. 10,000 people this year alone have crossed the channel in small boats. 10,000. That is a record. So for all the rhetoric, that is a record number coming across. Nobody but nobody should be making that dangerous journey across the channel. Nobody but nobody. And it's a test for all governments as to how they respond to it. And would-be governments. It's a test for the current government and for us. What is your response to this serious problem? Exploited, vulnerable people being put in boats to go across the channel by gangs that are making huge amounts of money from them. And there's a choice, as there is in pretty well everything political. A choice. What is your response? You can either have a gimmick or a serious response. What has the government gone for? A gimmick. The Rwanda scheme. Now, Rishi Sunak never believed in it. When he first saw it as Chancellor, he didn't back it. He tried to block it. He didn't think it would work. I'm not surprised, because if the numbers going to Rwanda are less than 1% of those who arrive by small boat, then 99+% are not going. And if you don't think that the criminal gangs running this trade are telling that to the people they're exploiting, then you don't know criminal gangs. It was never going to work. He knew it wouldn't work. But what did he do? He caved in to his party. He didn't stick to his guns. He caved in. £600 million later of taxpayers' money, it's not working. And what's he done? He's called an election before it can be tested. Weakness upon weakness. In the Labour Party, this changed Labour Party, we go for serious solutions. This is a serious problem. So, a border security command. This is a new elite force with a new commander, bringing together MI5, the police, national security agencies, Crown Prosecution Service. An elite force, a new command with new resources and new powers, drawing on counter-terrorism powers. Because when I was Chief Prosecutor, I had to work with police and law enforcement across Europe to bring down terrorist gangs. These were sophisticated terrorist gangs. And we did it, and we brought them down, and they're now serving time. I will never accept that somehow the only gangs that apparently we can't take down by the same means are the vile gangs running this smuggling trade. I'll never accept that. We will break it. Step 4, Great British Energy, a publicly owned company. This is a company owned by the taxpayer, making money for the taxpayer and investing in clean British power. And I'll tell you why we need it. Because we've been overly exposed by the terrible decisions of this government. 10 years or so ago, they said, cut the green crap. Remember that? Cut the green crap. And they stopped investing in renewables. They stopped the insulation that we need on our homes. And they left us exposed to the sort of challenges that we have internationally. Exposed. And so when Ukraine was invaded and Putin invaded, we were more exposed than other countries, and you're paying more on your bill because of the approach that they took. Bills are up. We've got to turn that around. It is a challenge. We'll rise to that challenge. We've lost 10 years because of the approach of the Tories, but it is also probably the single biggest opportunity that we have, not just for lower bills, but for the next generation of jobs. And Vaughan and I went to Holyhead Port just a few weeks ago now to look at the potential of that port for floating offshore wind. And we have a plan to transform that port to make sure it can handle floating offshore wind. Floating offshore wind is the next generation. It's going to be the game changer. And some country is going to get ahead and be the leader in the world. We've got the skills, we've got the potential, we've got the ports. We need to take advantage of that. And what we got from this government is such a lack of direction that just as all the other countries are getting into the race, they're in the changing room. Not prepared to let that happen. The race is on. I want to be not just in that race, but as you'd expect with me, I want to win that race. And I think we can win that race. Step 5, tackling antisocial behaviour. Now, I don't know how many times people have said to me, when I was a prosecutor, since I've been in politics, Keir, antisocial behaviour it's low level. It's low level crime. Shouldn't really concentrate on it. I don't want to hear that ever again. I don't want to hear that ever again. It blights the lives of so many people. Whether they're living in a huge community, a small community, a middle-sized community. If you feel that you can't open your front door after dark, if you feel you can't walk down your own street or walk around your own community, if you feel, as some of our young people do, that they can't even walk down their high streets without antisocial behaviour, that has a huge impact on people's lives and how they feel about taking themselves forward. And, of course, on our businesses. It is not low level. And that's why we'll have 13,000 new neighbourhood police, new in their area, working with their communities and dealing with antisocial behaviour. Because I am determined that we will have a safe and secure environment for every single person in Wales and across the United Kingdom to live in so that they can thrive, take themselves forward and build the lives that they deserve. Step 6, working with the Welsh Government to ensure that we have and are able through our education to prepare our young children, our young people, for the lives they're actually going to live and the work they're actually going to do. Now, I was the first in my family to go to university. I know the power that education can have on a young person's life. And I want every single young person, wherever they come from, whatever their background, to feel that success belongs to them. And Vaughan shares this approach. And Welsh Labour is already doing so much. The biggest, I think, school and college building programme since the 1960s. That's the investment already happening here in Wales. Imagine how much more we could do with a government in Westminster, working with a government in Wales and delivering for our children the future that they deserve. So 6 steps, 1 card. Make sure you've got yours. We're going to take this to every single doorstep across Wales to make our case for a changed future. 1 card, 6 steps. Wales and Westminster working together, turning the page, a change election where we can stop the chaos and division, put an end to it. We can turn the page and rebuild Wales and the United Kingdom together, working together for the future. That's the way forward. That's the choice. Vote Labour. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.